Hi guys, and welcome back to another treasure. This is chapter 4. Martha went through the inventory list item by item. So one of these things is supposed to be worth a lot of money. The doubt was clear in her voice. Elizabeth nodded. That's what Ania said, but honestly, I just don't see it. She got up, brought the box of Ania's belongings over to the table. She pointed at the box of china laying on the floor. Now that china is nice, but I looked it up online. It's worth a few $100s, that's it. She reached into another box, pulled out the first two things, 2 candlesticks. Silver plated, not pure silver. She set those aside and reached into the box again. There was 2 statues, a male sheep and a female. Shepherdess? Martha intoned, staring at Elizabeth over her glasses. Yes, thank you, I know. These are nice, but I doubt they're worth a lot. Mary got up, gathered her laptop from the small built-in desk in the corner kitchen. Read the name of the maker on the bottom. It's signed Axel Hinton. Axel Luther, a Bangin artist. Martha said, I've already researched them. They're worth around $400. With an Ania's permission, we priced them at $500. People really pay that much for secondhand items like this? That seems like a lot. Antique dealers scorn secondhand stores. Of course. Of course they were hoping the store sellers don't realize the value of the antiques they're selling. She shook her head as they glazed at her. I've already explained this to you, didn't I? Yeah, you did. I still find it hard to believe. Well, believe it, Martha interjected. I saw a couple in the store this morning that made sure I'm sure we're dealers. How could you tell? They picked up all the collectibles, checked the bottom of the marking. I expect they'll be back soon. Martha rolled her eyes. Okay, point taken. What next? Elizabeth pointed at several items, including the pitchers, some salt and pepper shakers, a lace tablecloth, some silver serving spoons, 3 framed photos of angels. Nothing looked of value. The frame around the angels reminded her of something. What about the frame of Dorothy Milligan bought? You know, the one of the pictures she talks on the floor. How much do you think it's worth? It's silver plated and extremely grainy. Covered the cheap rhinestones. Certainly not valuable. Wait a minute, Mary. How did you know they were rhinestones? Could have been jewels. Martha laughed. Trust me, that horrible thing has no value. I'd stake my life on it. Mary didn't look convinced. She struggled and nodded to continue. Martha started reading through the list again, mentioning several items purchased in the church. None of them. Oh, here's your Look, Martha said. Yes. Bought that bracelet, the one with green rhinestones. Maybe that's it. What if they're not rhinestones? Martha grunted. You think every rhinestone is a valuable jewel? Her forehead frowned with concern. I'm certain it could be a custom jewelry. I guess I'd sooner believe that the bracelet was real than the old frame. But if the stones were real, they'd be worth... Oh my goodness, that one green stone was huge. What if it's an emerald? But it couldn't be, Elizabeth said. Where would we get value of that piece? From Anita. She said it made a collectible custom jewel. Since there wasn't any kind of it, I took her word for it. She's the one who set the value. Yeah. Martha snapped her fingers. That's gotta be it. That's the piece Mr. Smoker's talked about. What about the riddle? It doesn't fit. Do you remember it? Mary asked. Yes, I wrote it down right after Nita read it to me. Hold on a minute. She grabbed the. She went over to the dresser drawer in the kitchen and opened it. There was a piece of folded. After reading it aloud, she put it on the table. Well, I don't get it, but it does fit somehow. This has to be it. I hate to say it, but Mary might be right. She blinked several times and cleared her. You know, suddenly the Zooks have the money to go to Florida. I mean, it could be. Oh, Martha exclaimed. Ruth Zook would have told us if she found a piece with real gems. She's a very honest woman. Sometimes people lie, Mary said sorry. People would never suspect of being dishonest. Elizabeth knew that Mary wasn't really talking about Ruth now. I know, sweetie, she said gently. I don't believe Ruth would do something like that either. I really don't. Martha Dixon shut the ledger, causing a loud thumping sound. Well, there's only one thing I know. We have to ask for the bracelet back. If it has to be. If she has it, she'll give it to us. You know she didn't sell it so she could retire to Florida. But if she doesn't have it, there's still a hard time believing she's guilty. But I suppose anything is possible. Elizabeth was trying to be supportive of Ruth, a woman she admired for over the years. However, Martha made a good point. Could the bracelet really be what Anita's looking for? Should we finish the list? I mean, if the bracelet turns out to be a custom jewel, we haven't accomplished much, have we? No, I suppose you're right, Elizabeth said. She read through the rest of the articles sold from the Smucker estate. Most of them were Smyrna, but here, you bought some old silverware. What if there was more than we realized? I thought he moved away. He left for over a year. But he came back a few months ago, and I was surprised when he showed up at the church sale. I did the search on Sawyer, but to be honest, I couldn't find exactly like it. Anyway, I took Nia's word that it wasn't worth it. We sold it for $100. Elizabeth started at her sister for what it was worth if it was a significant antique. Martha shook her head. A little research on the earth doesn't make me an expert, but anything I found blew me away. Most of the swords I saw were valued at the hundreds of dollars. But that's certainly not what the Smuckers estate is worth, unless it was owned by somebody famous. Maybe it was George Washington's sword. Well, forgive me for trying to help, Mary said. I wasn't just thinking. Martha shook her head. I'm sorry, sis. I'm just uptight about this stupid situation. I didn't mean to take it out on you. Mary reached over and grabbed her sister. I know. It's all right. She looked at Elizabeth. Still, you think that the swords is a possibility? You might be right. But who wants to contact you? I know I don't. Unit Barnhouse was a hermit who lived on one of the worst houses in Burdenham. It wasn't because he was poor. Urian had been the president of a local grain company before he retired. It was widely known that he made a great deal of money with the company and that his pension was quite healthy. He didn't have to have much to do with the residents in Burdenham before he retired. Since then, his cantankerous personality had only served further distance from everyone. Urian was skin flint tight, that a cheap grill, and meaner than a wet hen. When he left town, most people were relieved, but his house was never sold, causing some wonder if he would really rid of him. The question was answered when he suddenly showed back up again. A soft mew caused Mary to look down. Martha's cat. butterscotch rubbing against her leg. But Ely's just lonely. He's lived here longer than you, Elizabeth said. I'm telling you that after he retired, he became just plain mean. The only person that ever saw him treat like a human being was Mom. I have no idea why, but when she said Mama was nice to why was Mama nice to him? Mary asked. Elizabeth nodded. Always. Not that she saw him much, but when she did, he was a different person. To her, anyway. Not to me. He always had something nasty to say to me. Wonder why he came back. I have no idea. Like I said, I was shocked to see him Friday night. He rarely goes out. I haven't seen him in church in years. How did he find out about the event? I have no idea. Perhaps he wanted some company, Martha said. Elizabeth shook her head. Not likely. He looks around for a few minutes, grabbed the sword, paid for it, and left. Never said a boo to any of us. And I never heard him paying $100 for anything before. Maybe he realized the sword is worth a lot more than we were asking for and figured he could get a deal. There's words, I swear. I hope not, Elizabeth said. That would mean he probably wouldn't let us buy it back. The sisters went silent as they considered the repercussions. Wait a minute, remember that we marked it at $100 because Anita told us so? If we sold it for less than that because it was really worth, it's not our fault. It's hers, just like the bracelet. But how do we prove that? What if Amina doesn't admit to pricing anything? Now we're getting into a huge imagination. Martha said, let's not worry about something that hasn't happened yet. I know Anita's high-strung, but she's always been honest, hasn't she? I guess so, Elizabeth said. Truthfully, I don't really know her that well. She really seemed like Mama. I don't think she purposely do anything to hurt Mama's daughters. Like suing us, Mary said sarcastically. Elizabeth sighed. Like Martha said, let's not worry about what might happen. Instead, let's focus on getting everything back. Once we give it all to Anita, we can stop worrying about being sued. Martha got up and began preparing supper. Elizabeth finished her list and stared at it. Was Anita's treasures here? Would they be able to retrieve it? I think we need to pray, Elizabeth said. Nodded. You're right. Only God can sort things out and help us find a good solution. Martha stopped the preparation and joined Mary at the table. They held hands, and together they called out to God. And that is the end of the chapter. I hope you guys really enjoyed that chapter, and stay tuned. Chapter 6 will be out soon. Bye.